And if you're like yelling, like, daddy chill, mama chill.
Kevin, your husband, when he's upset, do you do that too?
Kevin's better than me in every way. I'm the unstable one.
I so believe that only because...
No.
Sorry, was I supposed to be like, no, queen, you slay?
No.
I feel like there are both moments where you and I just get like so upset. And I'm like, you're dead to me.
Oh my God.
And I will actively try and remove you from my life and not associate with you in any way whatsoever.
Okay,
Jomies,
I think this is it.
we have something to tell you.
This is episode number 10, and I can't believe we are here. That means you've been around for at least 2.5 months. We've been around for 2.5 months publicly every single week on Tuesdays. We were gonna do this humongo release, something that starts with a P.
It's not corn.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
But please tell them.
We were going to start a Patreon and we were going to launch it today and we had everything in place. But what? Eric, go. Tell them.
You're pointing
Share the
at
bad
this
news.
like I'm the
Share
problem.
the bad news.
Okay, we're just really busy and we wanted to make sure if we did it, it was going to be good. So we're just going to take a little bit longer.
We would rather do it well if we're going to do it at all. And our idea was that for one of the patron tiers, we were going to do a whole exclusive, brutally honest advice show where we react to your career questions or relationship questions or like situations that you're going through and give our takes on it.
And we're also really different people, so you're going to get really different takes. And then you can let us know in the comments whose take is better. I mean, obviously mine.
It's mine. It's mine. It's mine.
Rude.
I'm very sorry that we cannot release it. If you are interested in the Patreon, do let me know in the comments. And if you have specific questions and situations that you'd like us to comment on, I'd like to hear it too, because I'm not really sure. This is our first time. This is my first time doing a Patreon.
This is my first time doing a Patreon.
I'm a little nervous.
Too. We're going to do Patreon together.
I don't know.
It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great. So like Chloe said, let us know in the comments if you want to see this.
I forgot what I was supposed to say. Back to the video.
Back to the video.
Yay.
3, 2, 1.
We're back.
So good. So strong.
We are back, baby.
If you've noticed, we have a little bit of a different setup here.
What's...
Chloe doesn't like it when my feet are up in her face.
Dude, the last few episodes, this man put his feet right here and kept shaking. So we had to edit it out.
Nah, it was cute. It was a vibe.
It was
I just
so
had
annoying.
one little toe. It showed
so
how
annoying.
comfortable I was.
Yeah.
And now she's telling me to...
Because it's like, I would talk about something serious and then you see like this.
Because I'm so enraptured by what you're saying. I'm like...
So this
tell
is
me
off
more.
limits. Put your feet back.
So now Chloe's like, I have to sit like this now.
Dude,
I'll make it happen.
how was your weekend?
I was in Colorado.
Yeah, you were gone.
I've never been to Colorado before. I went with a group of friends who all work in the YouTube space. I've never had a friend group like this before because they're all like cool dudes. I've never been the cool dude. I'm usually the dweeby nerd. That the cool dudes are probably not even where it exists because they're just so cool. So this group, we went horseback riding. We stayed in this beautiful cabin-esque house in Colorado. It's like an hour away from Denver.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, we talked about manly things in a bar.
What's manly?
They talked about how in the past they've all got into scraps and tussles.
What does that even mean?
They've been in bar fights before.
Oh.
And they won. And they asked me if I've been in any bar fights.
Have you?
No, dude, does it look like I've been in bar fights? I'm the guy who's the first person punched. Do you see this face, these glasses? I'm just a target.
Have you been punched before?
Not really. No.
Okay.
Have you?
I've gotten in fights with my brothers.
Even Chloe is harder and more badass than I am.
I have thrown a punch before, yes.
So Chloe's been in fights.
I've gone a black eye before.
I don't have any of this street credibility.
Yeah, but it's nothing to be proud of, Eric.
I don't know. See, it's kind of cool.
Okay, so you guys talked about wrestles.
Not wrestles, bar fights.
Bar fights.
And yeah, anyways, they asked me if I'd ever been in one. And I was just like, I'm just not cool enough. But I felt honored to just be there. Oh,
Okay.
We went horseback riding. Did you know riding a horse for an hour burns
Hurts your butt.
400 calories?
Okay. Wow, that's really good because you have to hold your core or like what is it?
Yeah, because you're going to fall off. And my horse kept stopping every 5 feet to like eat grass.
Wow, your horse would.
Whoa, what was that supposed to be?
Yeah,
Why would
if
my
anyone
horse stop
would
to
have
eat
a
grass?
horse like that, it would be yours.
I want the cool horse. You know, the woman chose who got each horse. She'd be like, you know, you get
That's
Chip.
funny.
Yeah, it's like, you know, oh, you get Becky. And then it came to me, she's like, you get Doc. And I was like, oh, what type of horse is Doc? She's like, Doc is a kid's horse. I was like, what was that supposed to mean? And everyone else, she was like, oh, you know, you got to keep like Chip away from Becky. They like get in fights.
They
get
have
in scraps.
personalities.
Yeah, they have. I'm like, what do I do about Doc? Does Doc interact with any of their horses? She's like, nah. I quote her word for word. Doc's just Doc. And I'm like, so I get the NPC horse?
Hey, NPCs are nice.
So basically, I was riding the horse for an hour and it kept like trying to eat, but I kept stopping it. And we never galloped. But we did canter a few times.
What does that mean?
Cantering, it's like the stage right before galloping.
Oh, like
it's
it
not
starts
like,
to get
it's not
exciting?
like, but it's like,
I see.
yeah, it's like some of it. And there's a lot of horse poop because a lot of times there's like 5, 6 of us. So we're all just like in a line. And the horse in front of me just poops and farts. I saw a lot of horse buttholes, Chloe. Just
That sounds like a
plops right
lovely
out.
weekend in Colorado.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and so I went and bought this visor. It's pretty amazing. Chloe's making fun of it. Oh no!
No,
Oh,
it broke again.
Okay, it fell off.
Eric.
But if it wasn't broken, you would see. You can still get the idea, right? You just wear it like this.
Man wants to wear this to pickleball.
I'm just saying, I would
And
be
I
able
said
to
no.
play in this and protect my face at the same time.
This sounds like a bachelor weekend type of thing.
It was a guys group thing. It was very fun. And so I didn't have the visor. What I did was I got one of those super wide brimmed hats. It's like really big. And I put the helmet on top of it. So then it gets folded and it just looked like a medieval helmet. So I looked like a conquistador.
You said a lot of words today that I don't know what those mean.
Yeah, they're very, very nerd coded, which is what I am. Basically, it looked like I was wearing a medieval helmet.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad
yes,
you
I
had-
came back refreshed, energized. So the real purpose of this group is for all of us to talk through our business problems and share like what we're going through.
It's a business retreat.
But can you really talk about business without getting to the personal? Like you also just spend a lot of time as friends. And so, yeah, I went into that being like, oh God, there's so many things. I went out of that feeling a lot more optimistic. I actually just had a call with my co-founder and I was like, I just feel a lot better. I feel a lot more like what we're trying to build can work. So it's a really lovely group. We did it before 5 months ago. We'll probably do it again in a few months.
I guess what about it made you feel better? Like how did that?
So we're trying to build a very complicated product. We're trying to build business banking services for creators. It's like, what does that mean? Open up a business bank account. It's really hard today. We'll make it easy for you if you're a creator. And I think in my head, I have this really defeatist talk where I'm just like, this is super hard to do and it's really not going to work. And I really appreciated sharing this with the group. And they just like didn't think it was a terrible idea. And I was like, wow, people who really understand the space and what I'm trying to do don't think it's stupid.
I mean, has anyone told you that
You
it's
were very
stupid?
supportive too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
I
there
give you credit.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were very supportive.
yeah.
but
We did like a whole
she
powwow
did.
at night
Yeah, and
until
Chloe was like, this could be big.
yeah, this could be big.
Yeah.
But where's that voice coming from? Did someone say this is stupid?
It's just like daunting to be like, oh, what we have to build needs to be like $1 billion company. And there's just so many ways it can go wrong. So yeah, I think I have been discouraged. And
I see.
you and other friends in this group have all just been like, it's not a terrible idea. And so I felt better. And they also said another thing, which I really appreciate. They're like, well, hey, even if it doesn't work, we still have tremendous respect for you having tried to do it. And that felt nice because I have this nightmare where I try things and they fail. And then I lose all my friends and nobody likes me anymore.
That's not a rational
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's an
emotional.
irrational fear.
Irrational. So I'm actually really happy. I have people around like this group I hang around in Colorado, people like you, people in my life I'm very grateful for. And I spent the weekend dealing with some people that I don't love too, which is going to
did?
be the topic of our podcast now. What do you do when you have some great friends and people you love, and then you have some people who you don't? But before we get into the meat of things, by the way, Chloe's already changed outfits in like
Stop calling me out.
the 15 minutes before we started the podcast.
No.
She was wearing, maybe we'll throw up the video, the B-roll. You looked like a penguin.
Yeah. You know me, I don't really like going to a lot of events.
But you go to so many.
I had something to do every single day for the last 4 days, and that's like way too much. Like if I don't have a day to myself, then I start breaking.
A day to rot.
It's not like rot, but for me to catch up on my things. Yeah. So Thursday we had this Asian Founders Network event that I went to. It was like at a mansion in the hills, and then
Was it good?
it was good. I mean,
Well, now I'm sad I wasn't invited. But
sorry, dude.
sounds like it was
like it was
fun-ish.
fine, but I think I was like trying to bring a friend there, and I personally just didn't have a social battery this past week, but I felt like I had to go. And then Friday we had a dinner with Beacons. So Beacons, like a friend from Beacons, sent out a graphic that said like Beacons Creator Dinner. So I thought it was a networking
For those of you who
event.
don't know, Beacons is the link in bio tool.
Yes, it is. And we have a couple of friends in that company.
Yeah.
Actually, on Friday, Beacons got banned from TikTok for like a hot couple of hours.
Oh, full disclosure, I'm a small investor in it. It gets banned like every year.
It's so confusing. And
Yeah.
they reached out. Jesse, like one of the co-founders, reached out years ago when I was working at TikTok, and that's how we started to get connected. Yeah,
Because it was banned before.
correct. And I had to help on the trust and safety side. So Friday, like I got a message, and they're like, "Oh my God, kid, do you have contacts at
This
TikTok?"
actually reminds me, I just pinged your former manager, Derek, at Discord.
For what?
Because we're trying to restart the Karat Discord, and I can't figure out who's the owner of it.
Oh no,
like the
it's hard.
stupidest
It's
thing.
hard.
Derek literally just texted back. He's like, "You're the owner." And I was like, "Oh,
You're dumb.
yeah." I was like, "We
Oh,
can't
no.
figure out who the owner is." He's like, "Well, it looks like it's tied to someone named Eric who works at Karat." It was like,
I
"I'm
wonder
sorry, I
who.
asked you to personally look into this."
Yeah.
So you were helping. So you met the Beacons guys because you were helping before at TikTok, and then you had
Correct.
fancy dinner with them. Which, by the way, they're hosting fancy dinner again next week, and they're inviting me and a few friends too.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah, Edison, Lord DIY. So I think they're just doing a
Wow.
bunch of these dinners.
Okay, very cute, very cute. But I thought it was a networking thing.
It is a
and
networking thing.
It wasn't. It was like an intimate 9 people at a dinner table at their home.
Oh, that's still networking.
Like it wasn't very networky. I have someone on my content team that I brought as my +1 because I want to bring her out to more events.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shoot, this is like a intimate friend thing. And I didn't realize that because I got a freaking
It's
graphic.
okay to bring people to friend things.
I know, but like people brought their
Partners.
yeah, and I was like, oh, I don't understand this group. It seemed like friends. So then I stayed after because I felt I kind of imposed, like I didn't know, and I double checked.
Oh, but did you ask for the +1?
I did.
Then
of
you're
course.
fine.
Yes,
Then you're
I
fine.
did. I was like, hey, look, I would like to bring a +1. Don't worry if you guys don't have space. Let me know if that's cool. I don't really know what this event is. I'm just bringing her out to more events.
But you asked.
Correct, I did. And that was good. And then afterwards, I realized the event was like so personal. Everyone left, and my friend was like, hey, are you going to leave? I'm like, no, I'm going to stay. You guys can go first, because I wanted time with the host to say, I'm so sorry if this was a private thing.
You're so nice.
You know what I mean? Like I wasn't sure, but everyone was really nice about that. Oh yeah, of course, it was fine.
I wish I'm more friends with you. You know what pisses me off more than anything in the world?
I do.
Yeah? What is it? You want to tell them?
No, I don't. You say it, Eric.
It's when people don't ask me about +1s and just bring people that I don't even know were coming. I hate that. But you asked, which is why it's okay.
Correct. Yeah, Saturday was busy too because I had to host out of town friends. I couldn't make it a pickle. I really wanted to. And then I hosted Stella and Lena, stellachuu cosplayer 𝙎𝙊𝙈𝙊, anime
Oh,
creator,
yeah.
aka Gojo's wife,
I know Stella. Stella's lovely.
Yeah.
Wait, who's Gojo's wife?
𝙎𝙊𝙈.
Oh, she dresses as Gojo's wife?
No, but she does a lot of like Gojo. I love Gojo content. Gojo
I
is
got it. I was
hot.
going to say, because if you watch the show, Gojo doesn't have a wife.
Yeah. Gojo doesn't have a. I was like, you're not gonna try to say some spoilers. Like you wouldn't, right?
Oh, I already know what
No,
happens.
please, just don't say anything.
Every
God,
single thing that we both watch, Chloe's behind because she doesn't read the manga.
Hey man,
and
the
I can't-
animation is just
and I
superior.
can't spoil. No, but I want to know what happens. That's the most important
I
thing.
know. I get it.
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And then Sunday, I went to see one of my my grandma's friend. Basically, I had an old neighbor. She's a grandma. And we all thought she was dead.
Ooh, that's awkward.
Yeah. Because she sent a cryptic message to my mom years ago saying, I'm going to my happy place.
Oh.
And then my mom got scared and she didn't respond. And I'm like, Mom, why didn't you respond? And so everyone's been asking me
Your
in the family.
mom left your friend's unalive message
Oh
on
my God.
read.
Yeah, but she's an old grandma. So my entire family's been like, is she
That was
alive?
her 13th
Blah, blah,
reason
blah.
why.
Stop.
How can your mom do that?
I know, right? So then people ask me, is she around? Like, what's going on? And then I started messaging her and then calling her. And then finally, last week, she picks up. And I'm like, no way. 徐婆婆, 徐 grandma, where are you? Like, can we visit you? So
what
Sunday
was
was
her happy
us.
place?
No, I think I don't know what that message was. I didn't even want to bring it up anyways.
It's like, hey, remember that time you texted me saying you're going to your happy place? What was that about?
Yeah, she's like very old. So our family brought grandma and we
Why
hung
did
out.
your mom never reply?
Dude, she was scared. She thought it was like either maybe a scam message. So it could be a scammer. You know, like they hack into your phone and send weird messages to your friends and family. That could have been another one. But it was just like weird vibes.
That is horrific.
Yeah. And then I had a mental breakdown after that for other reasons.
I didn't know that.
I did. I had a little panic attack on Sunday. I just had so much on my plate. And it was just really like everything was kind of caving in on me because I had so many back-to-back events of hosting, you know what I mean? I was like so drained. And then I was at my friend Justin's place because we were recording an original song, and
so
we
you had
recorded.
a mental breakdown, but then still went to go do work.
Yeah, I mean, I had a mental breakdown in the car right before going to his house.
I have 15 minutes for my assigned mental breakdown.
Yeah, I messaged him saying, hey, I'm having a panic attack. I'll go in later.
I'll see you in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Wait.
So that was the weekend.
I didn't know that at all. Wait,
And today's Monday.
How are you feeling? That's really
better. I think it's just I really don't like going out to events and networking and socializing. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this on the last episode, but I'm just in my era of like I need to be heads down, and there's only so much getting to know people I should do.
We're literally going to 2 events together tomorrow, though.
Well, those are different. Those are like it's a movie premiere and a pop-up. But
that's a lot of.
But the drama. There was some drama.
Tell me the drama.
There's some things I need to catch you up on. On Thursday,
oh, no.
There was a man who was kind of creepy talking to a couple of the girls. And so I don't feel like I was creeped on, but I felt like it was kind of weird energy.
Is this someone I know?
I don't think you know him. Yeah. Okay. Just like some sort of entrepreneur, startup founder, whatever.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
They're the worst.
And trying to explain stuff and being like, I learned all these things. Like, fine. I had a really execution-based conversation with him, so it was fine.
What does that mean?
It was just all tactics on like projects I'm working on, like platforms or options or like VC world things.
Yeah, very tactical.
So I was fine. But some of my other girlfriends were not. And then after...
He was hitting on them.
It was unclear. Like, it's hard to figure out if a guy is creeping on you or just trying to be overly helpful. We don't know. And
also
he was
really
like,
hard as a guy to know if a girl's doing that too.
True. And then he was like, oh, you guys should come out to my event tomorrow, and then message one of our girlfriends and was like, hey, do you want to grab coffee tomorrow? Let's go here. But he didn't message me. So I'm like, oh.
But again, I've had a lot of platonic coffees.
Yeah. So we don't know. And then my friend and I, we hopped on a call at midnight, debriefed for an hour, and was like, we're not sure because she looked him up on Instagram and he apparently DM'd her a couple of years ago when she was in her hoe phase.
That's just weird.
It's just
weird. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, it's just really weird. So
That's
maybe
cringe.
he had a hoe phase or like a creepy phase of hitting on people. So we just chalked it up to maybe he's a retired creepy guy and he found enlightenment. And then on Saturday, he shows up uninvited to another clubbing event that all the other girls went to and then creeped on the girls.
I hate it when people show up uninvited.
And he apparently like hugged our girlfriends who are engaged, by the way, and like had a really touchy hug, like hugged, the back, and then took someone's hand and kissed it.
That's so weird. Did someone kick him out? I would have kicked him out.
So I got a spawn of texts from different people, not random people in the group saying he's kicked out. He's not in our group. He's not invited. And he wasn't invited to the AFN thing. So he just showed up. He crashed the party. And you know how those events are closed invites.
Oh, no, I respect it.
Yeah, they're closed invites. There's a wait list. There's a max capacity.
Totally.
They're curated experiences. And so this guy shows up uninvited. And so people got upset.
See, when that happens in my, I literally go and tell them.
Yeah. I don't think anyone told him that. And I asked, I was like, did you guys tell him that he's out? He's banned? And they're like, no, I don't think so. But he's basically not invited, which I think is the problem.
You have to tell them. I've done this. I've banned people.
You have. I remember you did it last year.
Like
I wasn't there. I was there.
There was literally a party where this guy was creeping on a couple of my female friends, and I took him and I was like, you have to go.
What does creeping mean though?
He was trying to get them into bed, like, because the party's hosted in a house. There's literally a bedroom there.
That is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Was he under the was he drunk?
Probably. I don't care. I think one thing that does really annoy me.
And this is a creator party. This is like a
It's
networking creator party.
I don't get why. First of all, people do that. Second, why don't people go kick them out?
I don't know.
Like, to be clear, I was scared. And let's be clear, like, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I would like 100% do this always, but that was the case. I just went to him and was like, you need to go. And
how do you take it? Was he mad? Or was like, I didn't do anything?
I don't know. I was also really angry. But part of what helps you find really good friends is a willingness to say no to people who aren't.
Yeah, I agree. I really respect you for that.
Thank you.
Like whenever we have our pickleball things and there's an unwanted guest, you like straight up make it a point to go up to them in that moment in time and say, hey, you can't do that.
A lot of times it's, by the way, people who I actually do want to come. But if you haven't done so by letting me and others know, I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
Because like I've worked so hard to cultivate a community of people that I care about that I will like viciously defend it against people that I don't like or I think are just bad vibes and bad energy. If I think about it more, I think I actually am really anxious in those situations if I do it, because there's an even stronger existential, like, it's like life-threatening for me. It's like, stay the away.
Wow.
Because you let one bad person in and the whole friendship circle falls apart.
Yeah, it's not great. I really, really admire that about you. And I want to adopt that mentality more.
Yeah.
I also, it's crazy because that guy on Thursday night, I wasn't sure. People were like, do you know him? Like, what the heck? Like, why is he here? Is he creepy? Whatever. I don't know, but I had mutuals. So I did my background. Like, I did my reference checks.
Good check, yeah.
But I asked guys, not girls. So the guys are like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. Like, I don't really know him, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden we figure this out. So you cannot ask, as girls, you can't ask guys, but girls know. Girls know.
Yeah. Or I also think there's a vibe too. Sometimes you'll go to someone and be like, hey, this person, were they like, or like they treat me badly. And they're like, well, I thought they were fine. And it's like, cool, but that's your limited exposure with them.
Correct. Yeah. And then I was talking to one of the guys. I basically gave the update back to one of the references.
Was he just like accepting or dismissive?
No, he was like, oh, I don't know who he is, but you know, I've seen him at events. I don't really know him. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, here is the information back. This is what I found out. Apparently he's a creeper and he's blocked from all of our circles.
Good.
Yeah. And he's like, damn, I'm really sorry. And then he sent me a voice note and he was like, this has been weighing on my mind recently. One of my friends who's a girl told me that one of the guys that has been in my fringe network, her 20 years ago though.
Yeah.
It's old, but he just found out and now he can't see that guy in the same way. And he's struggling to figure out what to do. Do you bring it up? You're not that close. He's kind of in your network. He's also like somewhat powerful or whatever. It's like you want to maintain a civil distance.
That's really hard.
You know what I mean? It's like, what do you do as a community organizer, as like a nexus, as a host of people?
I will say, I think the first thing, I love that this guy deeply cares and is thinking about it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Because you're not friends, really?
Like, first of all, that is obviously terrible. And like that guy, I think there's a version of that comes up a lot. It's what do you do when your friend is friends with someone you don't like?
And there's like levels of you don't like, right? It's like they literally did something bad or they just rub you the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I'm like, I think this person is like fine. I just don't like them.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Let me think about that.
Well, there is one person in our mutual acquaintances that I know you don't like, who you've told me that as well. And what I've done, which I think has worked well between us, is I'm still like polite and friendly with them.
Yeah.
Because we're in similar networks and such, and the degree of their treatment toward you is such that I'm, able to maintain polite appearances, but I'm very much on your side.
Yeah.
And would not invite them to something that I know you're going to be at. and tell you about it whenever I see and interact with them.
Yeah, they were actually at the anime event,
Yeah.
the anime party, and I was like so annoyed because we kept like being in the same area.
Oh, it's so
But you know,
annoying.
I just look away. I'm just like, I pretend I don't know you at all because I thought about it. Am I going to be explicitly mean to these people?
No.
Probably not.
Unless they've like, there are cases where it's so egregious.
Yeah.
But in this case, yeah, you're just like,
Yeah. It's just, I think you are genuinely bad people and I just don't want you in my space, period.
I actually really like that because you've just found a really good way to be like, you don't even matter in my life.
Yeah, you don't. I don't even remember you guys. And then when I see you, I'm like, ugh. But thank you for, I know you had to engage with them.
Yeah.
And you let me know. And I think that's what matters, to let me know that you're on my side.
I think everything's a choice, right? Everything you do. So even the framing like, oh, you have to engage with them. It's not like live or die, I have to engage with them. I am choosing to engage with them. But I want to do so in a way that feels honest to my friendship with you and letting you know where I'm coming from and when I interact with them.
Yeah.
Because, and that's another thing. I think sometimes people are like, well, like I have to maintain this, or I have to continue talking to them. You don't have to do Everything you do is a choice. And it doesn't mean you always have to choose to like, oh, let me never talk to other person again. Just be aware though of your priorities and what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel that. We have another mutual friend who had to engage with them too. And he called me up immediately and he was like, I have no control over this. Like this just happened because someone else wanted to invite them and then they didn't tell me. And so I'm not sure what the best course of action is. And I'm like, you were the host of this big event.
Yeah. Interact like a normal person.
First of all, I love how you called me. I love you. He's like, just know that I'm in your court, Chloe. Like I am team Chloe all the way, but I don't want to be put in like a weird situation amongst us all. And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. That sucks. I don't really care what you do. I just know that I don't like these people and I love you a lot. And I think them being in your circles would make it worse for you. But I think you should do whatever is best to protect your inner peace. That's it.
That's why sometimes I struggle when my friends are friends with people I don't like. Obviously, I respect it. And I'm like, hey, you be friends with who you want to be. But sometimes I'm like, but I don't like them for a reason. And I like you. And I don't want you to,
Yeah.
But I get it.
It's interesting in this space because we're in the creator space where there are industry people and then there's creators. And then some people are way more protective of who they allow into their circles. And I'm curious to hear from you, what is like a no-no? You're so open. You're actually really open.
I would consider myself very open, but then if you do something that violates what I think is important, then I very quickly turn protective. And so like those things are important to me is like being open and tolerant and not on people's earnest attempts to do something or be vulnerable or be real. I think respecting other people's feelings. So, for example, there's this person that I've been dealing with recently who I don't like, and I don't like him because I made an effort to be emotionally open to him. I didn't feel like he received it in that way. So from that point on, it's like I'll be open with lots of people. And I would say that's why I'm so grateful to have built a lot of cool friendships around LA. When you're open and people are open back, you get to like build a little bit of a connection. But then similarly, if they're not reciprocating that, then I'm like, you're dead to me.
Oh my God.
And I will actively try and remove you from my life and not associate with you in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like if I see you at my events, I will ask you to like go or let me know next time.
I think it's hard because in this space, like basically in the last episode we had, the last talk we had,
it's on how to network.
It's about how to get into the circles.
Yeah.
But this is about how you can get banned from the circles because you're trying to get in too much and you rub people the wrong way.
And it's really hard because like two things. One, what if the person was well-intentioned? Like they did things that were offensive, but they were well-intentioned. Once upon a time, I'm on the outside of so many circles. I had to work hard to get in. I'm sure some people took me as like coming off the wrong way. And the second thing is every time you're thinking about wanting to remove somebody from your life, you have to think about the social cost and whether it threatens your own standing. And then it's really scary. That's why I said like, yeah, often I will go and tell people like leave or whatever. but I'm not doing so blind of my own position and standing too. And sometimes I'm scared also. I'm like, oh, like, can I reasonably take action here without myself over? And sometimes that's hard. It's like a thing to think about.
Yeah, it's like a delicate confrontation. Got to be mindful. Also, it's not always clear what happened because remember how this one person came to pickleball and then was like a supposed +1 of someone else?
Yeah, it's sometimes also just hard to know truth when you meet somebody. Like, are they someone I actually know?
Yeah, like this person came up to me and was like, "Oh, I'm friends with that person." I was like, "Oh, okay."
And you went to ask that person, like, are you friends with the first person? They're like, no.
And then they said they were also friends with someone else. And then a couple of days, like a mutual from a long time ago. And a couple of days later, I messaged that mutual and I was like, "Do you know this person?" And they're like, "No, I don't know." And then you're like, "Wait, what?" It raises a flag.
It's like, it reminds me of like a couple things. The first one is, this is the Netflix series. It was always called like Chasing Anna or something.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
social like
it's about
ladder
this
climber
swindler who convinced everyone she was this like rich socialite.
Yeah.
Because everyone treated her like she was rich. So you meet her, you think she's rich too, and she's just stealing money from everybody. And the second thing it reminds me of is, okay, this is really random, but the comedian 𝙎𝙊𝙈𝙎𝙬, if you're familiar with him. He's an African-American comedian. And for a premiere of one of the Spider-Man movies, he sent a stand-in. He hired a random black guy impersonator who doesn't even look like him to just go to the red carpet and be like, "Hey, I'm Hannibal." And everyone treated him like that. And he did interviews on the red carpet with publications.
That's crazy.
As this guy, and they don't even look
That's
alike.
so bold.
And so everyone's like, wow, the world is racist. Just two black guys. Sure, yes, I agree with this. And it's because there's just another weird societal expectation where, like, if everyone's treating someone like they're someone, it's really hard to be like, the emperor has no clothes. This is how swindlers and bad people and impersonators make their way into social circles, because other people were scared as a species to call other people out on their shit in case we're wrong.
Wait, what is the emperor has? Is that a metaphor?
You've ever heard of the emperor has no clothes?
Is that like a parable?
It's a Aesop's Fable by Hans
Whoa.
Christensen.
Whoa.
So it's about this emperor.
Educate me.
Yeah, basically everyone like is, hey, Mr. or I guess it's 2024, Mrs. Emperor, Empress.
Sure.
Like, you're so cool, you're the best. Also, because if you don't, you're scared the emperor is going to be like, off with your head.
Yeah.
And then one day a swindler comes and convinces the emperor, I have like the finest set of clothes ever. It's so light and breathable, it's going to feel like you're wearing nothing. And so he tricks the emperor into buying this, and there's no clothes. The emperor's like closing his eyes, and he thinks he's putting on these really thin fabrics. He's just naked. So then he walks down the street, and he gathers all the subjects to be like, look how cool this new outfit is. This guy who got this for me, look how fancy it is. And everyone's just like, what the is going on?
But no one's saying anything.
No one says anything. And everyone's just like gaslighting themselves. They're like, it looks like he's just naked.
No.
But nobody else is saying anything.
No.
So, oh, yeah, you look so great. Until a little boy comes and he's like, Mommy, why is the man naked? The emperor has no clothes. And that's the moral of the story. And so what I'm saying is, a lot of cases, people work your way into their lives when they might not be good for you, and they might not be good for other people, because other people, we're all afraid to be the first one to be like, hey, maybe this person actually is not great. Right? Like this example you mentioned, someone's at an event. They're like, oh, do you know? Oh, I know this person. And it's like the other person's like, I have no idea who this is. But like, who's going to go there and be like, yeah, you don't know anybody. Like, you shouldn't be here.
And dude, it's fine if you don't know anyone. Like,
yeah, I've been there many places, but many times. But like, don't lie.
Yeah, don't lie about it. That's the weirdest part.
Lie.
So we went to Pickle, and there was like a big event that our friends hosted.
Right.
And this person like asked me to get on the list because they're like, oh, I texted this person about going to the event, but I didn't hear back yet. And it was weeks ago. So I was like, okay, I'll text the host for you. The host was like, look, we're at capacity. I would love to, but I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, fine. That's fine. And so I'm like, hey, look, I'm sorry. I couldn't get you in, but see you next time. And then I go to the event, and that person's there.
Yeah, they just came anyway.
And I'm like, how are you here? And they're like, oh, there was no security, so I just came.
So on the one hand, I get that, because as someone who also has come from outside circles, you have to hustle your way in. Yeah. And it sucks for you, because you're the one who went and did this extra emotional favor of asking the host got a no.
Gotta know.
And was completely ignored anyways.
I used my social capital to ask for
Yeah,
you.
like that just sucks and it actually hurts you.
Yeah. I'm just so confused what to do about that. Yeah. And then a couple of mutuals, like this person also went to the others and they were like, oh, I'm going to the event too. Can you send me the address? And then the other people are like, wait, what? You should have the address if you're invited.
It gets more and more like you're just lying.
Yeah. But had they just been like, look, I'm supposed to go to that, or like, you know what? Actually, no networking event is worth you going to.
Yeah, you can also just be like, hey, I would really like to come. I don't have the address, but can I come with you?
Yeah.
Like,
and I've maybe I can.
Done this so many times. And sometimes, by the way, like I get rejected from events. And then it's like, oh, okay. I don't go anyways.
Yeah, so maybe, you know what? I'm actually scared now because I asked the host on their behalf, but they showed up anyways, and the host said no. I probably need to talk to the host and clear
it makes you
clear the
look
record.
Questionable. And so you have to be willing to call people out. You have to be able to say the emperor has no clothes. I was thinking about this a little bit more because have you ever heard of attachment styles, like relationship attachment styles?
Yeah. Of course. I know.
Yeah.
I know you.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, it's how you were raised. Was it with unconditional love and support? In which case, you get to be secure. And if it wasn't,
here's a star for security.
Exactly, secure. If you didn't get that, and let's be real, you probably didn't, especially if you're watching this podcast, you probably didn't.
Ouch.
Then you usually end up dealing with it in one of a couple of ways. One is you get really anxious because you're so desperate for affection, because there's so many times in life where you needed it and it wasn't there. So throughout the rest of your life, you're always seeking that little bit of closeness and validation. When things bother you, reassure me. And the second is you're avoidant. When things bother you, you distance yourself. It seems like you don't care, but you do. And they can tell this even in kids and babies. There's this famous study. It's called the Strange study, I think, the Strange situation, where they have parents and their babies or their toddlers, and they're in a room, they're being observed, and then the parent like leaves, and they see how the baby reacts. And secure babies like cry. They're sad when their parent leaves, and then they're happy when the parent comes back. Anxious babies, when the parent leaves, like lose their like the world's gonna end. And even when the parent comes back, they're just sulking.
Oh no.
And then anxious babies, parent leaves, comes back, it's like there's no difference. But when they measure like the physiological signs, the baby is also like freaking the fuck out. Right? It's all based on like growing up. When you're upset, how do you express that? How do your parents hold it? When you're sad, they're like, oh, that's a valid feeling. Or they're like, don't be a pussy. Or they like, or they helicopter you. And so I was thinking about it. It's like, I think this actually relates a lot to that attachment style theory is important to how you handle relationships as well as the risk of losing them. So when you're in a social circle and you need to do something that might put yourself at risk, like calling somebody out, I think it triggers those instincts in you. Like, what do you do? I think for me, that's why a lot of times when there are people in my life that I don't like, I try and just like cut them out immediately. It's like a very avoidant approach. It's like, oh, like you're going to be at this dinner, I just won't go.
Yeah.
Or like you're hanging out with these people and they keep hanging out with you. Cool. Like you are no longer my friends. Like the group of you. Like, bye.
I do have those people on that list.
Yeah.
They're totally on my absolute ban list. Complete avoid. I will not be there.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to handle this at all. And I've met a lot of people, by the way, who don't do this. Like there's someone in their life who they don't like and they like, oh my gosh, like I have to keep dealing with this person. And I'm like, just ignore them, just cut them out. And they can't, because something in how they process these feelings of anxiety, don't let them just cut them off.
I feel like I can't deal with people like that because you choose to have that problem.
Yes.
And as your friend, now that problem is my problem. And now I can't be your friend anymore because you can't decide which problems you take on that's actually worth your time.
Yeah. It's like when you can't choose to set your own boundaries and I'm choosing to spend time with you, I'm now choosing to be pulled into this.
I kept my distance from people who are dating people I really dislike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
they're making a choice and you get to make a choice too.
You know, it's really unfortunate because like I like them, but I don't like their partner. And I just don't know. I don't want this energy in my life. It's really sad. Yeah.
So I was thinking about this too, because I think one of the reasons I learned to do it is because that's what I did myself with my own parents. Where growing up, I had a lot of issues with them where I think it was very hard for me to be my own person. And eventually I dealt with that by really separating them out of my life. And I wonder if that set the foundation for, oh, hey, there are people in your life that are stressing you out. Here's what worked before. So just do it again. You have also been through a lot of emotional, familial stuff.
Yeah.
Like growing up, you know, we talked about on another podcast, like at one point your parents kicked you out into the street because they didn't approve the college you went through. Like, how did you learn to reconcile and deal with that? And do you see patterns in how that affects how you handle other people you don't like in your life today?
I think it's a little hard because I now have a really great relationship with my family because I forced myself to be positive and I became the glue, and then I became more charismatic than my family when they're angry. Like I can water them down, I can make them laugh. I'm very charming and very cute. And I just make everything really exciting and sunshine. Like I'm a silly person with my family. And then they just let their guard down. And over the years, you just rewrite memories, rewrite habits, rewrite the way people talk to each other, about each other. And then sometimes I'm just like kind of a little bit of a spoiled girl. Like I act like a spoiled girl in a really dumb way. Then they can't take me seriously anymore. And then they just start laughing. Yeah. Like sometimes if my dad says something really mean, I'll be like, 你不能跟我讲哦，你不能跟我这样讲哦. And then he's like, 为什么? And then I'm like, 是因为是我生日耶. It's like, it's my birthday. It's like, you can't talk to me like that because it's my birthday. I'm the birthday girl. And then he's like, and then he starts breaking. So I feel that that's the relationship I started to build with my family, that it's not that serious. And if you're like yelling, like chill, like daddy chill, mama chill, right? And so when my brothers also go through that and they're like fighting, I just come in and try to be really lighthearted. And I have my serious moments of like, I'm going to make it lighthearted so all the physical tension's gone. And then I come in and I'm like, we understand where you're coming from. You both want the same thing, but how you're saying it's really hurtful, right? You wouldn't feel happy if someone says that to you. So I'm sure like my brother's feeling really upset about it too. What you're saying is not helping him, but you want to help him, right? Yeah. So I have that conversation.
Do you do that also, like Kevin, your husband, when he's upset, do you do that too?
Kevin's better than me in every way. I'm annoying. I'm the one who can't figure myself out.
You're the emotional.
I'm the unstable one, yes. And he is the peacemaker. Yeah.
I so believe that only because.
No.
Sorry, was I supposed to be like, no, queen, you slay?
No. Yeah, he's great.
Well, I say that only because I think I see a lot in you what I also like. I feel like there are both moments where you and I just get like so upset.
Yeah, I'm upsetty.
And we're clearly not happy.
Yeah. I'm angry Chloe. And
totally.
I think the lighthearted technique, like that method, has served me really well. But I don't know if it's because like I'm a girl and I can do that.
Do you do it with people other than your parents?
I do it with Kevin. I did it with my previous, in my relationships when we started fighting. Like I'm upset and then I'm like, And so it makes it less serious.
I remember I once had this ex. And every time we got in a fight and she did something, I was just like, what the
I'm scared.
You know how she would, don't worry, it's not,
okay.
This is more a funny story than a sad story, but you know how she would try and make up for it or like try and convince me to get over it?
No.
She'd be wearing a top and she'd be like, oops, it fell.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid.
She'd be like, oops.
That's
She'd just try to look at me. I'd be like,
that's kind of funny.
And like half the time in the beginning, especially, it'd work.
Yeah, but then it would get old.
But eventually, I'd be like, you can't do this.
Okay.
Or like, I'd be really upset at her, and she'd be like, was I bad? I'd be like, oh my god. It just kind of reminds me in a different way.
It's totally different. It's totally different. Hey now, stop lumping me in that same behavior group. No, it's not me. So your original question was like, how did family influence?
I love you. Like, I want no part of this.
I'm ending this conversation. It's not happening. We're moving forward. How did family influence how you treat others afterwards?
Yes.
I don't think it was family per se, but it was me in the past having dealt with horrible, toxic exes and ex best friends and trying to live a life with them, like in my space, in my community. For example, the leadership organization Glow that I was part of, I committed my like 7 years to it. It was such an important part of my adulthood, and I left it because my ex is in it. And I had to make that decision because every time we'd have a meeting, every time we had a conference, I'd have to like prepare myself. I'd go to therapy and figure out all the different ways that I could break down at that time. I'm like, dude, actually the mental the cost is not worth being there at the event. And it's fine. It's fine if I say no to that event because I say yes to myself, say yes to my safety, my inner peace. And maybe that means that to go start a new community, let it be. If it got to that point, it's just not worth maintaining that civil, I don't know, whatever it is. So then I'm like, actually, that's okay to cut people out of your life and be really upfront about that with all your friends. It's okay. You need to save yourself first.
It's interesting too because again, I do think there's a lot of similarity between us. I think this is part of the reason why we're friends, and like I've done this too. And so I think a couple years ago I went through this workshop in San Francisco called Leaders in Tech, and you can look it up.
Whoa, Leaders in Tech! Wow, you're a leader in tech. That's you, Eric Way.
Okay. All right, Chloe.
What about it?
And it was based off, there's this course at Stanford called Touchy.
Oh, yes.
Which is like very famously known for telling and teaching hard-going MBA grinders and gunners how to get in touch and just feel things. So it was an offshoot of that because they realized they would put Stanford MBA students through touchy-feely, and those MBA grads would graduate into the real working world all ready to talk about their feelings and emotions and be at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, that's not really aligned with their mission of trying to increase this in the world. So maybe we should teach it to founders because many of them will become CEOs who are the arbiters of culture in their organization. So if the CEO is all like, hey, like feelings matter. Not saying we're going to talk about them all the time. There's an appropriate level, but like feelings do matter. Oh, that sets the tone. And so there's this program that's called Leaders in Tech based around this. And a lot of like really legit entrepreneurs went through. You can look up the alumni, like Justin Kahn, the CEO and founder of Twitch went through it. So I went through it. And one of the biggest things it taught me how to do was how to give feedback to people when you're upset about things. And the huge reframing, and for some of like the very first times in my life ever, I actually went and gave feedback, even in that workshop, to people who like did things that like, sure, their intentions were good, but I was just pissed off about it. And the way you do it is you think to yourself, is this a person where I actually care about the relationship and I want to get to know better? Either I already know them and I look at this relationship, I'm like, there is something of value here I want to build and maintain, or I don't know them, but I think there's somebody worth investing into. If you believe that, you're giving them feedback because you're investing in us and hoping that we grow together. And because if I didn't care and I thought I'm never going to associate with you ever again, why would I give you feedback? I have nothing to gain from this. And I was like, oh, wow. So feedback isn't just like me being like to someone, hey, these are things X, Y, Z, whatever, and like potentially hurting their feelings. It's like, no, I'm saying this as an expression of how much I care about you.
Yeah, agreed.
It's interesting because like you mentioned, for example, this organization that your ex ended up being in, that's where you decided like these people aren't worth it and you walked away. And I've done that a lot too.
Well, they are worth it. It's just the pain is not worth it for me. And I believe that I can still have a relationship with these people I care about. So I did have a conversation of, hey, look, it's not you, it's me. I need to do this, protect myself. I love you a lot. And I think we're going to continue our relationship in a different way.
I love that. You had the honest conversation.
Correct. I had the honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think there's always a decision where, for example, at a certain point with your exes and my exes. Yes. Eventually, I get to the point where like, oh, it's not worth the conversation anymore because I no longer want to invest in this. I think that's true for me with friendship as well. There are times where I remember early on at one point, I was upset about something and Edison was like, hey, you have to decide, like, is this something you're willing to work through and give feedback to? Or are you just going to walk away? And I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? This is a group that I'm committed and I want to continue staying with. So I will share the feedback with, like, to be clear, I think that does not empower you to share every intrusive thought you've ever had. Which, like, is another thing.
Eric has another issue with intrusive thoughts.
That's another thing I have. I have so many intrusive thoughts. My co-founder has adopted this practice where it's like, Eric, from a scale of 1 to 5 and how important this is. If it's a 1, you don't have to tell me. And it's like, are you sure? Like, I feel like a bad friend. I feel guilty if I'm not like, hey, I had this intrusive thought that I should, like, I don't know, like, throw my foot through a window the other day. Like,
yeah.
So,
of course.
Yes, within appropriate levels, it's like, no, it's weird. Like, all these things are like flip sides of each other. The same way when there's someone that you don't want, you have to be willing to make the decision to disconnect from them and be like, do not spend time, or I will not spend time. When there are people you do, you have to make the choice to, like, continue talking even if I'm upset.
For those people that...
You're one of those people, by the way.
Wait, who am I?
Someone that I care enough about
correct.
to share thoughts.
Good answer. Thank you.
Yeah, in case that wasn't clear.
It wasn't clear.
It's like, whew.
For the people, we were trying to get an answer to this, but I don't have a great answer. Let's talk about it. For the people who...
Let's talk about it. It's definitely like the theme of this whole podcast. Let's talk about it.
I guess, yeah, for the people who, like, are on the fringes and did weird stuff and...
Yeah. We did just talk about this.
If you're a host, what do you do when you kind of like them, but then they are...
Yeah, like,
battling.
what do you do about the people who, like, they're, like, not quite friends, but they're, like, a little bit more than acquaintances, and, like, maybe they did something that you don't love or someone else you know doesn't love.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, like, terrible.
Yeah.
It just like, like a little prick.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, because this came up, right? You have a friend who I was like, hey, he did this thing, which pissed off a lot of us. And I'm telling you. And you were like, oh, like, let me just go tell him. And I was like, whoa.
No, I didn't say, let's go tell him. I said, would someone tell him? Or do you want me to tell him?
Yes. And I was like, well, 1, no, because
yes,
I'd have to make sure everyone's okay with that. And 2, I just have this general belief, whenever you have a problem with someone, you should go tell it to the person directly.
Agreed.
And similarly, if someone's having a problem with you, they should come tell you instead of having it been done through parties. But, like, this is a great case. Like, okay, now here's this guy. Like, I guess I kind of know him because he's your friend. You're my friend. He's your friend. I guess, like, okay, he's not a rando. I'm like, here's the thing that, like, slightly annoyed me and other people. Do we care enough to tell him? And I'm kind of like, nah, because we don't. But, like, that's the gray area.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate gray area because then no one tells him.
Yeah.
And so he will never know.
Because the people that felt offended also don't know him well enough to care.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
I guess, like, I don't know what happened. I'm not in those chats.
Yeah.
I'm not part of these events at all. But then, as contrary to, like, to the last episode where we're like, how to get into the circles, what are the social faux pas that you just can't do in these spaces?
Yeah, it is a good point because one thing that we, the people, universally all hate and everyone agrees on is politics. Everyone hates politicians and everyone hates gossipers and busybodies. And yet, why are politicians politicians? Why are they in a position of power? Knowing how to handle social dynamics is one of the most important things you can know in your life. Because guess what? What you call politics is just human feelings dealing with other human feelings, and it's inevitable that you're going to disagree with people. And how do you handle that determines whether it's toxic or not, but you can't get away from it. And to your point, I think the faux pas that I don't like, which then I have to think about, do I choose to share this feedback or do I choose to move on? And that I try not to practice in this general area of, like, okay, like, politics and social dynamics are a real thing. How do you not be an idiot? I think number 1, if someone shares something that is not great going on in their life, definitely just for a moment, don't try to solve the problem for them. Start by just sitting and hearing them.
Yeah.
I think that's really important because by solving it, you're almost bringing this perspective, like, I know better than you when you probably don't, and you probably haven't thought it through. And I think there's a time and place for that. I also like when my friends actually suggest things that are great and helpful, but it can start just by listening. And I think that ties directly to number 2. Feelings are valid. No matter what you feel, no matter what your friend feels, no matter what I feel, They're valid. Now, that's different if it's crossing over my feelings into you. For example, if I'm like, hey, I feel sad, you can't tell me I don't feel sad about something. But if I'm like, well, you suck. Okay, that's an opinion, bro.
Right.
Like, I can say I'm sad. That's valid. I can't be like, you suck or this person sucks. There's a big difference between saying, hey, I felt really sad and scared when X person did Y versus saying, yeah, X person sucks. That second statement can't be supported, but the first one can. Right. And by the way, when we're expressing feelings, it doesn't count if you're like, I feel that you suck.
Definitely said that to Kevin.
Yeah, that's not a feeling. You can't just take your opinions and put the word I feel. It's like, well, yeah. I feel they suck.
So it's like, what you said made me feel frustrated.
It's not even made me feel, because they didn't make you do anything. Okay, it's just fine. When you said, I just felt X. This is another thing I learned in that leaders in tech thing.
Wait. Let's clean up the wording. Say it one more time.
It's like, when you did X, I felt Y.
Yes.
Because no one can dispute you felt Y.
Yeah, speak from a place of authority.
Speak from a place of your own feelings. Mm-hmm. When I did this Leaders in Tech program, they tried to teach us to talk this way, and they print out these laminated cards of just 4 columns of feelings. Like happy, and like 15 different ways to say happy. Sad, 15 different ways to say sad. By the way, these are like...
Can you send this to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
It's like, keep in mind, these are like people who have raised millions of dollars, have worked at some of the best companies, have gone to some of the best schools. People for their entire...
Oh my God.
And you. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I didn't raise money.
We're so humble.
Go on.
So basically, the point is, it's people who've always thought of ourselves as like high achievers. And it's very humbling to then have like a kindergarten level sheet in front of you and have someone being like,
this is how you say how you're happy.
Like, how did you feel? It's like, what happened? It's like, well, this happened. No, stop. How did you feel? And so I think, number one, people bringing things, don't just try and solve their problems. Just listen. Number 2, be able to express things as your feelings without attacking other people, and be able to respect other people's feelings. And I think number 3 is just like when someone's being vulnerable on you, just like don't shit on them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. These are really deep though. These are like after a couple of interactions, deep interactions, but like in a setting where you're meeting people for the first time, how do you determine if someone passes the vibe check or not?
I think the difference between you and me and our social styles, I like to go deep quickly.
Right.
That's why I ask questions like, what's the dream? But you bring up a good point. Like, what about like, can you just tell, are there things from like a more surface level?
Yeah. To just signals of like, yeah, that was weird, dude. Don't do that.
I think like a small one is like knowing how to enter conversations and how to exit them.
That's really hard.
It is really hard. Like entering conversations, sometimes you can just get a vibe when people are open to like having you join. And sometimes they don't. And when they don't, it is really hard to force your way in. And it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But if they are, I think knowing the right times to introduce yourself and just be like, hey, like I'm Eric. Hey, I'm Chloe. That's important because you're being explicit. You're not just like randomly joining in and people are like, who are you? You're like, hey, I'm going to now like announce myself. That sounds so simple, but sometimes it's hard when you're like joining a circle that's already there and you're like, can I do this? Similarly, when you leave, I'm a big fan. Like, a lot of times you can be like, I'm going to go grab a water or like, I'm going to go run to the bathroom. And you can say those and I say those things and they're true. Like you are going to the bathroom or whatever. But sometimes I'll just be like, hey, it was really great meeting you. I would love to chat more. I'm going to go mingle with some other folks. But it was so good.
Yeah. That's a good close.
And just being completely honest because like they also want to go meet other people too.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, just being able to be like, I want to go talk to other people. Just like own that. I think that's important. Versus like, I don't know, oh no, like my baby's crying. Bye. Or just like sit there forever.
That's a little hard to know up front. Like, you know what happened with the person who was like, oh, I'm friends with this person. And then now we're in random texts of saying, was this person your friend? No, this person said that was your friend. I think that left a pretty bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, because you're like, why is this person lying to me?
Like, yeah, dude, I think being dishonest, it just puts you, it's like you are gone.
So yours is just don't lie.
Yeah, like what the, why lie? You don't have to lie. You don't have to make yourself seem some sort of hotshot person.
It doesn't even feel like this is like a moral judgment. It's like, just don't be stupid when lies can easily be caught.
Yeah. I think another thing, I don't know how to describe it. It's like some people would make, because they're nervous, they make like offhanded.
Oh, I mean, I have versions when I...
They just say weird. You're like, that was strange. You didn't have to say that.
Yeah.
But I don't have an example that comes to
I think
mind.
my version of that, my co-founders give me feedback. Sometimes I'll like curse too much. I do curse.
I do curse too.
Yeah, we both curse.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Bad
totally.
habits.
But like, I'll be in a business meeting. Like, I'll curse in pitch presentations. Like, we're raising money and we're in front of VCs, and I will curse. Be like, yeah, I don't remember the exact phrasings, but like, they're in places where I probably didn't need to, and I'm like, you're like, no, sorry. Because I'm not like presenting in the middle. I'm just like, it's like in a context where I'm throwing the word for emphasis.
Yeah.
And my co-founder pointed that out. I was like, oh, that's really good catch. And I know why I do this. When I used to work as a consultant at McKinsey, I worked with this associate principal. It's a junior partner. And he was so interesting because junior partner's pretty high up at McKinsey. Like, you're doing well. But he was so down to earth. And I noticed when he talked to clients, he would curse. And we were out in the middle of Indiana working with folks like salt of the earth. And I brought it up to him because I was like, yeah, like, you seem so real. And he's like, yeah. I asked him about the cursing. He's like, I do it intentionally because I want them to see, like, hey, I'm not sitting here as like a pointy-haired intellectual prescribing you what to do. I'm here with you just trying to figure this out. I think that just resonated so deeply with me.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I do it too much when I'm nervous and anxious. And I'm like, oh, what's going to go on? And I do it sometimes without intentionally wanting to do so.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Then my third one that I really hate, and
Wait,
it's
okay,
not.
so number one is don't lie.
Don't lie.
Number two is just
Don't be
say
weird.
like off the wall weird,
Yeah, I
like
think.
Dwight Schrute style.
I think this is really random. There was like a creator that I went that a really big creator at a creator event, and then there's like a third person who's like a smaller creator, and then he was like to the first creator that's really big. Oh my god, you're this person. You must make a lot of money. How much do you make? Or
That's
like,
a weird
or
statement.
Also, wow, you look so young. Like, how old are you?
Also
And
a weird
she's
statement.
probably like older.
Yeah.
And then she smiled and walked away.
Oh, I love that.
She power played him, and I was like, what the fuck? I don't even know him. And I'm standing next to him. Now I'm associated with him. This is so embarrassing.
Oh, you're like, she's going to think I'm with this guy.
Yeah. And I was like, I need to leave. I need to go. And yeah, so that's like what I meant about
Number two. So what's number three?
Number three, yeah, it's not obvious, but you know this. One time I went to see one of my favorite mentors, and it just happened to mention to another group of people that I was like seeing in the same city. And that I'm friends with the girl, not the guy. And the guy asked the girl, hey, can we come along to your mentor thing? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you knew him. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we're in the city and then the community. And then I asked my mentor, and my mentor's like, yeah, sure, I guess. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I didn't know what the dynamic was. So I'm there as a friend, as a long-term, over a decade-long friend. I love you. I'm hanging out with you. I want to see your kids. Like, yeah, friend, family friend. And then they come in, and then they were just networking with him. Because he's a powerful guy. He's pretty powerful. Not a lot of people get access to him. And I have worked my way to be in his like core group. And I've built my trust with him. And they were literally like, can you tell us, how do I get this? Can you make this introduction to this person for me? Can you help vet my business plan? I want to do this in the city. And I'm just sitting there like, why are you monopolizing my hangout with my mentor? You are just talking to him, and I'm the one who let you into this conversation.
It's like you're just being used.
Correct. I felt so used. Like, don't use me. I thought we were friends. I don't even know you like that. And then me and my mentor, after I called him, and I was like, hey, that was really weird. I'm so sorry. I thought you guys were friends, and it seemed like you're not. I don't personally know them that well. That's why I asked you. And he was like, no, I thought you were friends. That's why I said yes.
It's the classic, like, each person assumes the other person is close.
Correct.
And neither of you is close.
And
she just played both of you.
In my book, y'all are dead to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that was not okay. If you didn't intend on doing that, you should have, after the dinner, been like, hey, look, I'm so sorry I took over that conversation. I've sensed the tension. Like, you better have high enough EQ to know that you f***ed up, and you better tell me. But because they didn't even try redeeming themselves, so now I'm just like, I'm no longer inviting you to things. You're gone. Like, that was weird. And it's so fascinating because we're in a space where a lot of people we work with are public figures to an extent, or like entrepreneurs who have a somewhat of a public persona or personality, or like they're public figures.
Yeah, we're both public in different ways. Yeah.
In different ways. And they might seem perfect on paper or whatever you want to say, but when you're in the circles, you know, oh, this person's full of shit. this person's creepy. This person doesn't know what he's talking about. This person is just cloud chasey. And those reputations matter so much. People talk and girls talk. So if you're being creepy as a dude, all the girls know. The guys might not know, the girls know.
Aren't there literally like Facebook groups? One of my exes told me there's like
Yes.
Facebook groups where it's
Yes.
called like, Are We Dating the Same Guy?
Correct. Yes.
Where
Yes.
women go and post sketch dudes and see if they're dating other women. Are you in those groups?
No.
I guess it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. But I know about them.
You got a husband.
Correct. I've always not that interested in like dating around a lot. But I know friends who are kind of part of that. I was also in another, like a Taipei expats group chat, and there were creepy guys who like did bad things and abused some women, and he got posted around, and then the group chats exiled him, kicked him out, and then send a big post saying, this guy sucks, never invite him to anything, he is banned from everything. This is what happened. And I'm like, wow, thank you.
Collective action.
Yeah, it's for the people. That was a lot.
I think the takeaway, if you're listening to this, sometimes you gotta be a hater. If it comes to protecting your own peace and the people that you think are important and good, you gotta kick out the people who are bad.
I think it's building a good sense of judgment for when someone does not have good intentions for you and your group, and to be cognizant and make the decision to call them out if you want to build that relationship and protect your community. But it's so fascinating. It's like, this is a secret dynamic. Like, people, you just hear things, and then you see them, you meet them, you have a bad image of them, and that thing stays. Like, reputations do matter. The quiet, like the secret reputations matter.
The whisper networks.
Yeah, the whisper networks. Ooh, I kind of like that.
It does remind me a little. So going back to the point I made on how you handle rejection and removing bad influence from your life might come also from how you dealt with that in your family, like growing up. So I read this New York Times article about people who have been estranged from their parents, like separated from their parents. Like, they actively made a decision to, the same way in your social life, you might tell somebody like, I don't want to interact and associate with you anymore. You say it to your parents. And like, that's a really big deal. And I read this piece talking through it, but what really frustrated me about this piece was the author of this New York Times article, the interviewer, went and like talked to these people who've been separated from their parents, and then went and reached out to the parents to get their take.
Wow, ballsy.
And obviously the parents are all like, I have no idea why they've chosen to kick me out. One of my favorite replies was this woman focusing on how embarrassed she is. She's like, yeah, now my friends like ask me how my daughter's doing, and like, I'm just so embarrassed. Like, I don't know what to tell them. Like, I've just finally told them she didn't tell me anything. I'm like, okay, number one, why are you focusing on your own embarrassment versus probably the reason why your kids separated in the first place? Number two, of course, you as a journalist, if you go and interview the parents of estranged kids and ask them, why do you think they left? And the parents go, I don't know, everything seems fine. Well, duh, that's probably why the kids left in the first place.
Because you couldn't admit it, and you couldn't
Because the parents aren't aware. Like, if the parents were very aware and communicative, probably the kids wouldn't have separated out in the first place. Obviously, the parents are going to be like, I don't know. So I think, like, I just read it, and obviously I take that stance too as someone who's like pretty distant from my own parents. But in some ways, I'm very sad about it. In other ways, I'm like, that has equipped me to like spot, whenever there's people in my life entering who I think are just going to be a bad influence, it's like, hey, I distance myself even from my own parents. I'm not afraid to distance myself from you.
I feel like I don't come from the same line of thought.
Yeah, well, you've reconciled with your parents,
I do the
which is lovely.
Thing. Like, I'm not afraid of losing because I have myself, and I'd rather have myself than be with you, who is like horrible or a weird, bad influence. I think that energy, I personally think I will get bad luck if I am with people who are bad.
Yeah, if you stay with people who just can't leave. Yeah.
So then when I see people who are good, I make sure they know they're good.
Yes.
You're good.
Like you.
Whoa. Jinx. Yeah.
That's good. I think we're at time. Yeah.
I know. That was a good conversation.
That was a good place to end on. The power of friendship.
Yeah, so don't be weird. Don't lie. Don't use people.
Yeah, be vulnerable. Listen to people's problems. Respect feelings. Yeah. And
Yeah.
be willing to make the choice to walk away. Or if it's somebody you care about, give them the feedback.
That's all we have for today.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. How you feeling?
That was kind of heavy.
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
I've been, just absurdly busy.
My toe's creeping up again.
Back off.
Okay.
Back off.